I think, Anderson, that we have to understand that this country, emerging from a bitter civil war with these militias running around, that the government still does not have control, particularly the militias that are in the eastern part of the country. The Benghazi militias, the Misrata militias, who feel they bore the brunt of the conflict. Now, if there's anything good that may come of Ambassador Stevens' murder, it is that the government has been galvanized, and the people of Libya have been galvanized. And if I could make one comment, I was there on July 7th when the people of Libya voted. They love America. They appreciate America. They appreciate what we did for them. There may not be any other country in the Middle East where Americans are like, and they are as angry and bitter almost as much as we Americans are about this assassination.
Because there are some Republicans and conservatives saying that we've blown it in Libya. That it's heading toward extremism. It's going the wrong direction. Do you think this is what happens when a society that's been repressed for generations, the box is opened and strange things come out and it takes time, or how do you see it? I think
it's extremely difficult. We had a little trouble in our history. We fought a civil war, as we might recall, but the point is that they have no real strong central government yet. They just had elections in July. Their borders are porous. There are jihadists that have come across from other countries, including Algeria, including Mali. They don't have a really functioning government yet. So to expect that all of a sudden, after Gaddafi, which was basically a one-man band, as you know, that they would have all the institutions of government is just too much to expect. And by the way, there are a lot of Libyan Americans who are over there that are doing an excellent job too. They need our assistance. They need our help to enforce their borders. They need our help with counterterrorism. But a lot of this stuff they can pay for themselves. They have got a lot of money. These people, they are wonderful people, I promise you. And for us to now somehow expect that, hey, we have an orderly situation is too much to expect. And by the way, there is jihadist and extremist and Al-Qaeda, and the Libyans are convinced that Al-Qaeda was responsible for the attacks that killed 4 brave Americans.
What do you make of the response by the administration? In the early days, Ambassador Rice, and now what they're saying now, I mean, they're now saying it was a terrorist attack. The president did use the word terror early on in the Rose Garden, but we heard from Ambassador Rice, who was saying, link this to the video that's been released. I mean, what do you see is going on?
I think that an attack of this nature with heavy weapons, mortars, and a very sophisticated direct fire and indirect fire, that somehow that could be the result of a spontaneous demonstration is just impossible for me to understand.
Let me just throw out a third option, though, which supporters of the administration would say was, look, they want to be cautious about how they characterize it early on, and so they were taking a go slow approach and saying, not jumping the gun and saying it was a terrorist attack, but basically kind of wanted to see where the investigation led.
A casual observer, a first-year cadet at West Point, will tell you that that kind of attack is not a spontaneous demonstration. Here, darling, let's go to a demonstration. Bring the mortars. It's insane that they would somehow believe that could be the result of a spontaneous demonstration.
There's now requests for what some senators have put in a request for what cables Ambassador Stevens had sent to the State Department, because if from what was indicated in his journal and also from other reporting that we've done, he seems to have raised questions and concerns about security. Is that something you believe is important to find out what was in those cables?
Well, I think we owe that to Chris Stevens' family as to what happened. As we all know, there were his journal, which clearly indicated that he was concerned about security. But I also have to tell you, he loved the Libyan people. He loved the interaction with the people. I was with him on election night and during the day and night. Thousands of Libyans came to the square and they saw him and they saw me and they said, "Thank you, America." They honked their horns, they waved, they were happy. So he loved the Libyan people, and I'm sure that Chris probably took additional risks that he might not have others because of this profound affection that was shared. It was a two-way street.
So what needs to come out of this? I mean, does there need to be an investigation? Are you confident in the investigation going on. Secretary Clinton has come forward and said, look, the FBI is in the early stages of the investigation.
But so early that they haven't gotten to Benghazi.
Well, that's the thing. If they're not even able to get to Benghazi and the site still is not secure,
no.
What does that tell you?
I think it tells me that over time the details always come out. I'm not sure what we can really be gained in immediate investigation of the kind you're talking about, because the crime scene is basically so badly compromised. But over time we will. There were intercepts, there were other information. There's some information that convinced the president of the Legislative Assembly to go on our nationwide TV and say, we know it's Al-Qaeda. Now, I don't know that, but it was clearly a terrorist attack, and the administration described it as not being so. They owe the American people an explanation.
You want an explanation?
Well, I think we deserve it. Rather than deceiving the American people, we're conveying absolutely false information to the American people. And again, I would like to say, if I could, because I think it's important for the American people to understand, and my friends on both right and left, Libya is our friend. Chris Stevens, the one wish that he had was to see our relations develop, to see democracy proceed in a country that literally never knew it. And I think that when he saw these pro-American demonstrations and efforts to bring down these extremist organizations, that Chris is somewhere smiling.
There's some Republicans